Hey everyone, this is Gail Kim, Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer, and you are listening to me on the Battleground podcast. Check out Knockouts Knockdown, and you can get tickets for this weekend from Friday, September 17th to the 19th, and I'll see you all there.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Battleground podcast. Please make sure if you are watching this, give us a little thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you're listening to this, make sure you leave us a nice little review and 5 stars, and follow us on Instagram at Battleground Podcast. And let's bring in my tag team partner. Eli is here with me. My man, Eli, what's up, buddy?
I'm still losing weight, guy. Just hanging in there.
I know you're next to nothing now. What is it, like one?
We're 60 pounds down right now.
Dang. And I think I found that 60 pounds. So I know where it's at.
We just pass it back and forth.
Yeah, that's the plan. And speaking of plan, there's something big going down this weekend, and Impact Wrestling, a big announcement happened. Knockouts Knockdown is coming back. And of course, it's going down this weekend. You go be at these tapings in Nashville. Of course, you can get all the details at impactwrestling.com. And when we've had Mickie on the show, we've had Deonna on the show, and we've talked about who is on our Mount Rushmore of women wrestling. And we have one of those guests that we consider on the Mount Rushmore. So let's just go ahead and bring her in.
Let's do it.
There she is. Gail Kim is on the show with us. Gail, thank you so much for being here.
How are you?
We are good. Not as busy as you, but we're doing well.
Yeah, I mean, Gail has just been one thing after another, and it's the greatest thing right now, especially bringing women's wrestling to the forefront, and we couldn't be more excited for everything that's happening with you guys.
It's definitely worth the energy that we're all putting in. And I'm normally either 0 or 100, and I'm at 100 plus at this point. And even Empowerrr, like you just mentioned, I was saying after that weekend, and it was basically a 2-day weekend for me. And a typical Impact Wrestling weekend would be 3 days, sometimes 4. And I'm always wiped because you put so much from morning to night. And after the Empowerrr one, I think emotionally, because it was so fulfilling. So you got the emotional part and the physical part for a lot of these ladies. I think I was in bed.
It was one of those ones you're like, yeah, I'm going to take the next couple of days off. I'm good.
Yeah.
We're just going to chill.
I'm sure the mental at some point gets worse than the physical. You know, with
really
you being an athlete, I'm sure the athletic part of you just kind of kicks in, but I'm sure the mental just like, I need a nap. Yeah.
Definitely the harder part.
For sure.
It's all worth it.
So let's kind of go back a couple weekends. NWA Empowerrr. We just had Mickie on. She talked about how amazing weekend it was. And there was a moment that us as wrestling fans, and I'm a grown man, that got very emotional for. Yeah. You and Awesome Kong had a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Like, we lost our mind when we saw that happen in the ring during one of the most buzzworthy few weeks in pro wrestling history.
Yeah.
How did that story come about, and why is it such a big deal for you two to share that moment at NWA Empowerrr in St. Louis?
You know, it really started with just me coming on board at first. Mickie asked, a numerous amount of women to be a part of that. And I said, as long as Impact is cool with it, of course. You know, I always want to support all the women in this business. And Mickie is a go-getter and a legend in her own right, incredible woman. And I knew the passion behind the project that she had. And then I really didn't even know what they wanted me to do besides produce at that point. She said, maybe you come out and cut a promo. And so I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I would say probably a week after that, you know, she informed me about Kia accepting to come. And I was like,
try not to fangirl at the moment right now.
I just, you know, this wrestling's always been one of those things that I actually get really emotional about. And I always tell the story that my husband gets mad because I didn't cry at our wedding, but I'll cry for anything wrestling that moves me.
Yeah.
So when she said, you know, she said she never got that final moment with you to say thank you. And I was like, I'm feeling emotional already. Don't tell me anymore.
Let's have it for TV. So we're good.
Yeah. And so I got really super excited. And, you know, honestly, I didn't know she was going to stay in the ring that night. I found out at the same time as all the fans watching that she was retiring.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Mickie and I both didn't know. Just so you guys know.
Well, those
So
those
it's kind of
those
a shocker.
moments are the best. They're
Yeah.
organic. That's
Mhm.
you can tell. And now knowing what you just said, we can go back and we'll be able to see the expression on
Yeah.
everyone's. It's just that's
It's
awesome.
really, that's what I wanted to, and that's why I said I don't even want to talk about what I'm gonna say or whatever it is, because I wanted it to be organic and authentic, and it truly was. And I just, I think in wrestling we already all have a brotherhood and a sisterhood, but when you share that kind of magic with someone, you just have that bond,
Mhm.
a special bond that you always hold dear to. And I will always cherish her as a person, as a human, as a fellow wrestler. I
Mhm.
will always have that respect and love for her.
Yeah, well, that was definitely kind of, exclamation point. I think that the weekend was incredible, and that was just
Mhm.
an extra layer, an extra story to that. This is a
And
very
I did say after, because all the men that were there, they're like, "Oh my God," I was crying, and I said, "If we can get grown men to cry,
right.
I'm very happy."
Exactly,
Me
absolutely.
and me and I were texting back and forth when it happened, and I was like, "Is this happening like now?" Like I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about that
Yeah,
moment and
like we
trying not to
kind of
get emotional. So,
we thought
uh,
you might do something with the show, cut a promo or something, but
Yeah,
then everything else was off. We didn't think you'd take a bump or anything like that. So
yeah,
everything else was just like, what is happening? And
yeah.
she'd been off TV for a while, and we just, yeah, it was just a special. Yeah, it was
I
incredible.
think everyone just, even when her music hit, because of the way her music starts, it's kind of just
mhm.
like, you know?
Yep.
And the first one, it was kind of like everyone got silent, like, wait,
Yeah. What
What's
is
no.
this?
happening?
Yeah.
Is
And
it
then when
a
they
sound
saw
glitch?
her,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
it was
man.
fun.
Well, this is a kind of a general, well, not really general, very specific, I should say. So
Mhm.
the first Impact, the one night only knockout knockdown pay-per-view was in 2013. So we're going
Yeah,
on almost 10 years ago.
yeah.
Why do you think there's been such a resistance to hosting all women shows and all women pay-per-views from other major wrestling promotions? And we don't have to call names, but I think people know who we're talking about.
You know, I don't want to be too direct
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
When you're not a woman and you just have this formula that you've always thought was successful, and you got to kind of move with the times, and I feel like the generation of the golden era, which was Trish, Jazz, Ivory, Victoria, all those girls, they inspired me to become a wrestler.
Hmm.
And I was lucky enough to be able to catch the end of that. And then, kind of went through these roller coasters, but you can see how many women are getting inspired. There's so many talented female wrestlers now. You can tell in just the growth of how many female wrestlers are on the scene right now.
Hmm. And how
And
many good female wrestlers on top
good
of that?
female, great female
Oh
wrestlers,
yeah.
and the potential of some, I'm waiting to see. And when the fans see how much we always feel the pressure on ourselves to bring it to the next level. We need to be as good or better than the men. And
Yeah,
I
you got
think,
more to prove. Yeah.
yeah, and we show that all the time. A good story is my stepdaughters years ago when I was still active, probably a good at least 8 years ago. I said, they weren't wrestling fans. And I said, what were your impressions of the show? They said, the women, the women just worked so much harder and they made it so good and physical. And I was like, great. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I don't know why certain people don't believe in this, that
Don't
it can be
embrace them.
successful,
Mhm.
and I think Mickie did a great job of showing that it can be a success. It really
Mhm.
can. If you put in the time, the passion. And listen, just seeing how a show was produced from a woman's point of view made a difference, because I think the emotional parts of the show is really what people will remember.
Mhm.
Those are ultimately what you take away from that wrestling. What you remember are your memories, like what I watched as a kid and how Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage made me feel.
Mhm.
You'll
Mhm.
always carry those and remember those feelings, not necessarily all the crazy moves that someone's going to do.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And we
Yeah.
thought it was a good touch to Battle sent me the picture. The announce team for this weekend's all female. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
awesome. You don't get that a lot of those type of shows.
Yeah, I mean, Veda has been working so hard, and she really put it out there. I really want
Veteran
to
on
go
top
for
of it
this.
as well.
Yes, she has, and she's been part of Knockouts Knockdown before. So I'm super excited. Even, just to see the history of Deonna Purrazzo was part of our first, I believe it was the first one that we did. And she was very inexperienced and a newbie to the business. And look where she is now.
We'll get to her by the end of the talk.
Yeah.
Because there's some interesting stuff that we've got to
Yeah.
say over the past couple of weeks, because I think we've kind of fanned the fire between
stirring the
Mickie
pot a little bit.
and Deonna. So
Yeah.
it's like we'll let the women fight, and we're gonna be the drama. We're gonna be like,
we're just gonna be over here
We'll
stirring it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all we got to do. So Knockout Knockdown is returning with tapings happening this weekend in Nashville. Which, by the way, you can still grab tickets. All you got to go to impactwrestling.com. We got all the details for that. But we've seen the announcement about Mercedes Martinez participating, as well as the legend Christy Hemme coming down. How did this reboot come about, and what can people expect from the event?
Well, we had been talking about it for, I would say, a couple months now, very lightly. Scott D'Amore did say we want to bring the the all knockout pay-per-view back. And I said, great, it's about time, right? It's been since 2017. So I think it's about time. And people now, with the popularity of women's wrestling, I think it was a good time. COVID obviously put a little pause on all that, so we can account for that time, but I think it was the right time. And then Mickie did that. During that process, Mickie said that she was going to do Empowerrr, so of course,
it's kind of seeing how y'all's stuff overlapped. It's kind of
we wanted to
maybe
So Scott also with the Impact Wrestling being part of Empowerrr, we did we put in the storylines into our show as well. Whatever we can do to help the final product, I think is really important. And Mickie being a part of our show and our company, again, it's just honestly a team effort to give the fans what they truly want.
For sure.
And I think that's, not talking about the other places too much, but I mean, a lot of the excitement that's going on right now over the last, especially 2 months, is just companies giving fans what they want.
Yes.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, whether it's a shocking debut or it's the women's pay-per-views, I mean, it's what people want. I mean, that's kind of, and I think that's why you're really seeing, we're almost getting into like Attitude Era fever pitch of popularity. And I mean, it's just, incredible. Another thing we learned about Knockout Knockdown, there will be a Monsters Ball match, and that's going to be dedicated to Daphne, who we unfortunately lost recently. Can you give us any other details about it? Do we know who's participating in it? Or are we just going to kind of keep that close to the chest?
I kind of wanted to save that for a surprise, because we've given a lot of information so far. There's only now a couple of things that are surprises.
Hey, I'm okay with scrolling through Twitter and finding out. I'd like the excitement.
Right?
I try to stay away from dirt sheets on day of events and everything like that, because I want to be surprised about every single thing that happens.
And I'll tell you, recently in the last couple of months, there have been certain, like Slammiversary, we had tons of surprises. Yeah, and none of them leaked, really. Thunder Rosa was a surprise. Jay White was a surprise. So it was nice to see the reaction of a legitimate surprise. And I said, people just are so used to spoilers. I'm like, isn't it nice to be surprised?
It is. And we were at Slammiversary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And those surprises were shocking. I mean, we were like, what?
And the entire time I was sitting there and I was texting my buddy Kenny, who does video for you guys. And he's like, are you cool with more surprises? And I was like, I can't take anymore. Like, stop right now. And then he's like, and this was literally after Thunder Rosa showed up. And I was like, please stop. Like, there's more. And then he's like, there's a couple more. And then it hit another one. He's like, you ready for another one? I was like, stop. Like, this is getting me pumped up, and just everything that happened. And even at the tapings, like, I've been watching, because we've been to all the tapings. A lot of the stuff from the taping still hasn't even leaked out.
I'm really enjoying it, actually. And
Yeah, it's been a testament to the fans, especially. I mean, they could easily in 2 seconds post it. And I
yep,
mean, I'm like him. I really haven't seen a ton of spoilers and stuff.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah,
truly
it's
love
awesome.
that. I love that the fans are thinking about the other fans.
Yeah.
And we, we've been there and I've taken some photos for stuff. And being a wrestling fan,
Mhm.
I'm waiting until I see it on TV and then post it.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
and that's the thing is like, we tell people on the show that we're not dirt sheet people. We are a wrestling podcast for wrestling fans. So when we see something, we're like, man.
Yeah.
But when we've been to the tapings, like it's been so great. And I've been a part of a couple of other podcasts where they do like, let's do a preview of this. And I was like, well, I can't talk about that because I've already seen it. So I just have to excuse myself. And I think what Impact has been doing over the last several months with allowing fans back in and doing the tapings, it's been very good of it. Not a lot of stuff leaking out, not even like the people showing up and wrestling and who appeared and who randomly, like, I think when we saw when Josh Alexander and did the open challenge and it was one of the Chris brothers that showed back up. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, geez, that's surprising.
Well, I thank you guys for keeping it quiet.
So that's the thing. So we try to keep it that way.
Mhm.
Because we don't want to spoil anything, because deep down inside we're all wrestling fans. So the current knockout champion. Now we're going to get into Deonna, because we've had Deonna on the show and she said some not so nice things about Mickie, and then we had Mickie on the show and Mickie said some not so nice things about Deonna. Then we started this whole Twitter war, and now it seems like it's inevitable that we could have them together. But there seems to be some growing animosity between Mickie and Deonna. What is your opinion on your current champion, and where do you think this growing feud is heading?
Oh, I'm actually really super excited to see this matchup if it happens down the road. The possibility of it makes me excited. Deonna has been on such a streak. I mean, I talked about this before, where I kind of identify with her in terms of coming from a different company and not being used obviously to the best of your ability. And now it's night and day now. I feel like she's being used to the best of her ability to showcase her skill and her talent. And Mickie, I mean, she's a legend, right?
Yeah.
She's so good. I mean, she was one of my favorite opponents. But
well, and you saw, I mean, she handled Kylie Ray pretty well, pretty fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a top, one of the top young stars coming up. So she's obviously still got it.
Not only can she go still, but I mean, she has that experience over Deonna, and in title matches or whatever it may be, title runs. And I'm interested. And since Deonna came into her home turf, right? I know Mickie's gonna have the final say on that one. So we'll see.
And I'm sure with Mickie
show.
Yeah, well, I'm sure with her being the competitor that she is, I'm sure she's got a little chip there. Is like, you know what? I'll just come take this belt from her. And I don't think she has any problems with doing that.
I know. Mickie does not fall back in any way. She cannot be pushed around. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in the future.
This is going to be some exciting stuff. And of course, again, you can still get your tickets to watch the TV tapings this weekend, impactwrestling.com. Going to be taping some of the Knockouts Knockdown this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, there is an old photo that I found, and I showed this to Eli, and this was from 2012.
This is PG, by the way.
This is PG, by the way. So this is PG. This is from 2012, and I'm thinking, I wonder if we could recreate this, because the other person in this photo is a free agent, but do you think possibly we could recreate this photo right here?
Oh, look at that.
Well, we're not going to have Kurt Angle there this weekend. As far as I know, who knows if it's going to be a surprise.
I mean, he could be hanging around, but
I mean, I guess I'll step in for Kurt Angle. We're both bald.
I was scrolling through, and I was like, I remember that we did this little meet and greet thing, and this was there, and it was kind of one of those things where, do you have that belt? Like, do you have a copy of that belt somewhere?
Which one was it? The Knockouts title?
Yeah, I believe so.
Like with the white strap.
I just got one. Finally.
Jeez, that thing is so awesome. That's one of my favorite. Yeah, I love the design of that. I actually love the design of the new Impact
Oh yeah.
belts, the ones they redesigned like 3 or 4 years ago. Those things pop. I love them. We actually, Deonna, when we chatted with her, we actually got to talk to her in person, and
Yeah.
she luckily let me. I'm a peasant, so she let me hold her belt. And that thing is way heavier than I was anticipating. And I assumed it would be a little lighter for the women's title, a little bit smaller belt. It's Hoss.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty
very well made.
I think that our titles, besides the world title, I think they're all around the same size and weight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
We're belt dudes, so we love that. We'll look at the design like, oh, did you see the strap? And then, like when Moose came out with the TNA belt on the white strap, we're like, holy crap, that pops on the white. Yeah.
My heart is with that white title.
Oh, it's amazing.
Love it.
Question I have for you, and this is kind of just throwing this out there. If you could have one more match with anybody currently,
the
right
question
now,
you're asked every day, probably.
Who would that be?
I don't want to show favoritism towards anybody.
Well, and it changes from week to week. I mean, you're not
Oh, it does. It does. 2 people. They're in a different company right now because I don't want to pick out other knockouts because that would be
too easy.
Yeah. If I was gonna pick in the outside world, I would say my top 2 are Sasha and Charlotte.
Well, there's some big ones.
Those would be some good
We
ones.
talked to Charlotte, yeah.
And listen, there's so many talented girls out there, but they both kind of remind me, I don't know, the wrestling aspect in the ring. I just feel like they could be magical. You know, that's what I'm always just kind of striving for when I get in that ring.
Well, we're sure the door's closed on that, but the fans would be interested in a match with those 2 as well. So
all the other doors are open, but so
where can people keep up with you online? Are you more active Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or where
I go through my phases. I'm only on Twitter and Instagram, no Facebook, guys. Same handle, Gail Kim, it's me. That's pretty much where I like to interact with fans. So tweet me something. And I don't really respond too much on Instagram. It's kind of so different, right?
Yeah.
Instagram is a weird place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
More positive than Twitter. Twitter's
right.
So cool.
Twitter in the IWC. So
just go back and look at all the comments about NXT from last night, and it's all over the place. Yeah. So.
Okay.
But super excited for this weekend. Of course, Impact Wrestling is in town, filming tapings. You can still grab tickets, impactwrestling.com. And of course, Impact Wrestling brings back the Knockouts Knockdown. Of course, there's going to be some of those matches happening this weekend. So definitely do yourself a favor. Go grab those tickets, impactwrestling.com. And is there anything real quick before we let you go? Is there anything you want to say to everybody that is watching and listening to this right now?
I just want to say thank you all for supporting women's wrestling, whichever company you support. I mean, we want wrestling as a whole to be supported. I thank you. And like you just said, check out Knockouts Knockdown. If you can be there in person, that would be great. Friday, Saturday. It starts on Friday, September the 17th. I keep on saying 16th.
It throws everybody off. It's weird that we're already in September.
And just so you know, if you're excited about what we've already announced, there's going to be a few more surprises. So I think it's going to be so exciting.
I'm pumped.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Pumped too.